Hello everyone! Welcome to Messy Hearts, where we help people who seek advice for their troubled relationships and lives. Listen carefully and share your experience down in the comments below to help those who seek it. We hope you enjoy. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Let's head on to the first story. Story 1. Ever since our son's accident, I can't be intimate with my husband and I think he wants to leave me. I've been holding this in for so long and I just need to get it out. I feel like my marriage is crumbling and I don't know what to do. 2 years ago, my husband 35M and I 29F were going through a rough patch. He suggested we spend some time alone and have sex like we used to early in our relationship. We have a son and at the time he was 5 years old. I never let him go out alone without supervision, even though we live in a nice neighborhood. But that day my husband insisted. He told me to let our son go play with his friends outside for a while so we could have the house to ourselves. He said he needed this. Needed us to be okay again. He was going through so much stress from work and he was angry a lot during that time and I didn't want to upset him more. I can't explain how much I regret that decision. While our son was outside, he got hit by a car. He survived, but the accident left him with a lifelong disability. He's in a wheelchair now. The guilt I feel is overwhelming. I keep thinking that if I had stood my ground and not let him go out, things would have been different. Since then, I've had a hard time being intimate with my husband. Every time we try to have sex, my mind goes back to that day. I keep feeling like something bad will happen again if I let myself relax and just be in the moment. I can't get past the fear and I end up stopping halfway through. My husband gets frustrated and I don't blame him. It's been 2 years now and I know he's angry that I can't move on. He thinks I'm punishing him for what happened even though I've never blamed him. I've never said it was his fault. It was an accident, but I feel like he can't handle the guilt. He doesn't bring it up directly, but whenever we argue, he'll accuse me of taking it out on him or shutting him out because of the accident. I feel like he wants to leave me, but he won't say it out loud. I feel like a burden to him now. I've even thought about asking for a divorce myself just to make it easier for him, but I can't bring myself to do it. I've been a SOM since the accident and I've used up all my savings. Plus, I'm not from this country originally, and the thought of being on my own with nowhere to go without my son is terrifying. For the past months, I've just been agreeing with everything he says during arguments because I don't want him to bring up the accident or use it against me. I feel like I'm walking on eggshells all the time and I don't know how much longer I can keep this up. I'm stuck between wanting to make him happy and feeling completely unloved. How do I move forward when the guilt and fear won't go away? Should I be the one to ask for a divorce even though I'm scared? What piece of advice would you give to OP? Let us know down in the comments and let's move on to our next story. Story 2. I surprised my BF, 26M, only to find his ex at his house. How do I handle this? With updates. I went to drop off my BF's favorite meal to him today, only to find his ex's car in the driveway. I rang the doorbell and he came outside and said, "I'm sorry, one just feel confused right now." I remember cussing him out a bit, crying and saying I didn't know how he could do this to me when we had plans for me to move in a few months, asked him what his plan was with all of this, and then told him the part that hurts the most is the lies and deception and he was lucky I wasn't a violent person because he deserved to get slapped. Then I told him I would talk to him tomorrow because I realized she could see our entire interaction from his security camera monitors and I didn't want her to witness it. Now I'm wishing said more, threw her out, etc. and I can't help but feeling like I want to forgive him because I love him but feeling ashamed if I do. Any advice on if this can be salvaged or if it's worth trying to? If not, how do I move on from this? He didn't chase after me and I haven't heard from him, which almost makes it hurt more. She knew we were together and had asked if we could be friends and grab a drink 2 weeks ago. I know I'm young and I live in a big city so I could find someone else, but I really thought he was the one and my dad told me he thought so too before he passed away. Date 1. I spoke to him on the phone this morning as Manny has encouraged me to get things that I had bought for the house. I am on my way to get it this morning. He tried to get mad at me, which at that point I told him he was a gaslighting narcissist who can enjoy his miserable life. I will give a bigger update if there is one, but I appreciate all of the tough love and encouraging comments. As someone that loved him so deeply, saying goodbye was something I wasn't ready for, but I know I'd rather not be anxiously dating someone I can't trust. Final update: just got back to my house after seeing him. I held my ground as much as possible. I went in knowing I just wanted to get my stuff and get out, because the more time he had to convince and manipulate me, the more likely I would be to give in. He tried to tell me nothing happened, and I just told him I didn't want to hear it. I got what was mine and drove home and called my mom. I am still obviously upset. No one likes a breakup, but I'm excited to focus more on me. For those that believe in karma, I did find joy in the fact that he got poison ivy yesterday after I found them. Thanks, Mother Nature. Do you have any advice on this one? Comment down below, and let's move on into the third story. Story 3. How do I talk to my boyfriend about taking food from me? A few months ago, my boyfriend and I decided to move in together and subsequently starting melding our lives into one space. This recently became an issue when it comes to meal times and eating habits. My boyfriend is very strict when it comes to his eating habits, including meal prepping, caloric intake, his daily sugars, protein, etc. This was something I knew about him before we started living together and never would have imagined it could be a problem until now. Recently, my boyfriend has begun commenting on my quality of eating and how it compares to his own. To be as open as possible, I am a pretty average eater. I don't gorge on sweets or binge at meals. I eat a lunch and dinner most days, and sometimes I'll throw in some yogurt at breakfast when I have the time in the morning. Sure, I'll eat some French fries or some ice cream every once in a while, but I am far from the type of person that would need their every bite monitored and evaluated. I have no history of having an eating disorder, nor have I expressed an intense desire for my eating habits to change since we have moved in together. When it comes to my weight and appearance, it stays pretty close. My weight tends to fluctuate 5 to 10 pounds or so throughout the year, mostly because of stress and a demanding job, but it stays within the same range it has always been since we started dating. This issue has slowly built itself up over time, with him telling me I don't need certain foods or portions of food when we are sitting down for a meal. He will take food that I make for myself from the fridge or pantry when he goes to work in the morning. He will specifically target things he views as unhealthy, such as if I bake anything or buy a bag of chips/other junk food when grocery shopping. When I initially brought this up to him, he just said that he was just looking out for me and has yet to stop his actions when I explicitly said for him not to. I made it a point to tell him that his actions make me feel like he views me as someone who is incapable of making decisions regarding their food, or like I am some kind of glutton he has to live with. He has checked the garbage on occasion when I order takeout to see if I finish my meal or if there is still food left in the to-go containers. It has gotten to the point that he has removed foods from my hands at the dinner table, saying that there is no point for me to eat them because they are just empty calories. These foods are things he is comfortable with himself eating because he himself needs the calories instead. I must stress that I do not overeat or have an unhealthy relationship with eating, and I never have. Our relationship is honestly great on so many other levels. This just seems to be a thorn that I am not sure how to approach. How do I talk to my boyfriend about his actions around me eating or the food that I buy? Let us hear what you have to say on that and move on to our next story. Story 4. My mother is pressuring me to give my ex-husband another chance. How do I get her to back off? I married my husband 8 years ago after dating for 3, and he seemed like a sweet and decent person. We have a 7-year-old son who I love very much. 6 months ago, though, I noticed he was a bit more secretive on his phone and also seemed to stay out a bit later. I asked him to let me see his phone and let me know what he's doing, but he keeps telling me to not worry about it. I had to go on a work trip a month ago, but when I came back, my son told me in private that he saw his dad with a strange woman while they thought he was sleeping. I was sick to my stomach. My son even knows the girl's name. I again told my Huaban to come clean with me. He kept refusing, but when I mentioned the name, he said he would show me his phone upstairs. Instead, he darted to our son's room and screamed at his face and blamed him for ruining the marriage. I screamed back and took him to our parents' house where we stayed for a few days. I had to reassure my son numerous times it wasn't his fault. I expected my mom to help, but she keeps telling me that my husband only made a mistake and she wants us together. How do I get her to back off? Thank you for watching. All advice is welcomed and will help these people to resolve the things that trouble them. We hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Let us know in the comments what you think. And never forget that your smile is your best feature. Wear it proudly.